feel like having it just be a tiny bit warmer in here. Just a little bit. There's some wood in there. That's kind of charred up, so that'll be a nice fire. Alright. Heat is free. Food is free. Fuel is free. Amazing. Get everything for free. So, anyway, this video. Look, so there's a lot of things I can't prove at this point. Things like the first video and the 10-part thing, whatever. Like what I prayed. Well, how do you know I'm not? If you see my eyes looking up, by the way, it's because I have notes on kind of what to say, just to remind myself, so I don't get sidetracked. So that's why my eyes are going up sometimes. So, like, for example, when I said that prayer after getting baptized, how do you know I'm not making that up in my head? There's a lot of examples of stuff, the vision of the crash. How do you know I'm not making that up in my head? It's just concerning because I looked it up. 15% of people actually do have fully made up memories. So, like, you as a viewer have every right to think that, that guy I'm watching right now it's a 15% chance he's just making stuff up in his head, and that's way more likely than this crazy story he has. So, but here's the thing. It seems like I have a way to prove that, what I'm going to have to do to prove those memories are real is going to be in the next video. If it's going to be mind-blowing. Anyway. So, because I'm starting to go back to the, so one of the things while I'm talking about having that, praying to God, asking for a way to know I'm not brainwashed into religion and stuff like that. And as you'll see in the first video, after, asking for a lot of specific things in the prayer, I felt like God gave me a warning that it was going to be difficult. And computer turned off. There we go. And sorry, sidetracked. Let me pause for a second. I gotta close the vents on the fireplace. It's getting a little hot already. Okay. So, yeah, after, praying again, saying, no, God, I don't care how much it's going to hurt, just do it and stuff like that, prayed again about it. And I remember something at that point, thinking, it's kind of weird I just got that warning. Was that me? Oh, that was probably just me, making something up in my head, right? I'm thinking at that point. And then the voice sort of says, I'm going to make it a love story. And I'm like, okay, yeah, it's in my head. That wasn't good. God, that wasn't real. Okay, good to know. So, I didn't mention that part about, I didn't want to mention that part in the first video. But it's just time I mention that part. So, yeah, prayers coming true, exactly like I was warned, it seems. So, look, next I have to go into a repeated vision that I skipped over. I was tempted to talk about this in the first video also. Look, so during that time period, month or two after the baptism and stuff, I'm pretty sure I was on a road trip to like the Adirondacks or something. It was a long drive, I know that. And a a thought popped in my head, but it was very wait, where it well, the thought wouldn't leave my head, but the thought was very detailed. And I'm thinking, oh, this is just my brain coming up with hypothetical situations. I come up with a lot of fun hypothetical situations, but this one stuck with me the rest of my life because, well, for one, uh, the vision, or the thing I imagined, you could say. Again, all these things I'm calling visions. At the time, I thought they were my imagination. It's just my brain doing its thing, right? So, um, yeah. Anyway, this one, it wouldn't leave my head. It was like 10, 15 minutes driving, and it was like the vision was more like a question, right? And it was a question I didn't want to answer, but it was like I had to answer it. So here's what the vision was. It was, imagine a motorcyclist going down the road very fast. Possibly it's some catastrophe going on, something like that, possibly. For and Yeah, there's a motorcyclist going past a couple on the side of the road, and as the motorcyclist is passing, he doesn't really even think the couple notices him, and likewise for the man on the side of the road, he doesn't think the motorcyclist sees him at all. And going through the motorcyclist's head, well, for one, the motorcyclist, he controls the machine like it's an extension of his body. He feels every gear. He knows, and he's experienced a lot of stuff in life, a lot of extreme things nobody else has gotten to experience. And that feeling he's getting of, I call it connecting to the machine. It's a term that I now call sensory confluence, because it's a feeling I strived after. It's almost like a meditative state of losing touch with your own body, your own senses, as 100% of your brain goes into picking up, like, it's almost like your soul goes into the machine. Best way to explain it, but it's a feeling I always strived for. But the motorcyclist is experiencing that, but at the same time he looks over at this couple, and he sees the guy and thinks, I wonder what it's like to have a loving relationship. I wonder what it's like to, have someone that truly loves me like that, in like a romantic way also, And but he notices he's experienced so much, and he feels the machine, underneath him, almost like his soul is a part of the machine, and decides, no, this is what I chose, and I'm happy with what I have. And he passes them thinking, no, I'm happy with what I have. That's a different life. It is what I chose. It's okay. And at the same time, the man looking at the motorcyclist thinks the opposite thing as he passes. He sees, wow, that guy, he must be like, he's like, the man's trying to imagine, what does it feel like to connect to a machine that way? Is this lighting? I don't know what's doing that there. Is that lighting? I guess that's lighting. I don't know. I'm not only noticing that now. Sorry. The man um, yeah, is on the side of the road is trying to imagine, wow, he's got to live such a wild life. I wonder what it feels like. But he notices, he can't because he has someone that loves him, and he can't do anything that would make her nervous and stuff. And at the same time, he realizes he has someone who really loves him and everything. And even though he notices he's missed out on all these extreme things in life, thinks about his wife that he has, and he's totally happy with the situation and the life path that he chose. But it felt like, again, this thought that it wouldn't leave my head. There's two parts about the vision the reason I'm willing to call it visions, because there are two parts of it I was not able to change. I'll get to that. No, I should say it now. Keep in mind, it felt like a choice, right? Look, in the future, the location was right in front of the Sparta E Free Church, the one I got baptized at. That was the location. Times in the future, I tried to change the imagination to a spot that made more sense, like Hawks Nest in New York, certain roads in Stillwater, roads that I loved. I tried to change location. I couldn't. I couldn't change the color of the girl's hair. Yeah, it was her color of hair. Anyway, after many minutes of thinking, because I felt like I had to answer this question, I chose the guy on the motorcycle. I'm like, no, I think I'd rather that life path, because almost everyone gets to experience, what having someone that really loves them feels like, what a family feels like. All I knew is I want to experience what less people have experienced in life, so I guess I'll go with the guy on the motorcycle. So, look, eventually I really didn't know what to believe anymore once I was in that relationship with the girl that, would criticize me for my beliefs and stuff. And again, the whole evolution versus creation thing really confused me, and I didn't know how to believe in evolution and Jesus dying for my sin at the same time. Again, I can now, but a lot of things confuse me. But the funny thing is, the relationship was, I can't go into, I'm not going to go into details, of course, but I was the man on the motorcycle still. And times when I was under a lot of stress in the relationship and feeling like, not really knowing what a romantic relationship was, so not knowing what it's like to have someone actually, well, I'm just going to say it the way it is, not knowing what it's like to have someone actually physically attracted to you, I would think about that vision, and I would remember, no, this is what I chose. And again, a lot of stressful points in that relationship, I thought about that vision, and again, I thought about it a lot, and there were many times I tried to change things in it. Why the church? Like, why there? That's not a good spot to have this imagination. And again, I noticed, why isn't it the color of the hair of my current girlfriend? Or I always kind of figured I'd end up with a blonde someday, just because all my hair is blonde, right? And just kind of makes sense. Why does the girl in the vision not have blonde hair? I tried to change it to blonde hair. I couldn't. Tried to change it to more my girlfriend's color hair. I couldn't. More specifically, I couldn't imagine it, but I knew the colors it wasn't. I knew it was darker than my current girlfriend's hair. I knew it wasn't blonde. I knew it wasn't black. I I felt like it might have been brown. I felt like it might have been redhead. I felt like it was in between, but I couldn't imagine it. But I felt like it was somewhere between those two colors. This girl's hair, that this whole thing is based about, it's a deep shade of orange, and I literally have trouble imagining her hair color. As it is right now, I still struggle. So it's like I had a vision of her herself. And there is one more part I should mention. I don't know when the second part of the vision came. I know it wasn't the day in the car, because the day in the car I felt like I had to make a choice. It was probably one of the times during the relationship it came to me. Another version of the vision. It was a version where the guy sees the motorcyclist go past, and he knows that that's who he used to be, and he's gotten to experience everything, almost everything that motorcyclist has. And he views him as like a soldier risking his life. And that's exactly how it was. If I didn't have a girl to be friends with or anything, I'd start doing more risky things. Like it was a soldier mentality coming out because I didn't have a female presence around. But yeah, the man on the side of the road views him as a soldier because of that. Sees it's like his past self and salutes him like he's a soldier going past on the motorcycle. And that makes me believe that's going to be me someday. Now, I've cried about this a lot of times off camera and stuff. And it's hard to me to accept that these were visions, because honestly, I've always had this honestly, it's a personal belief that God doesn't want us to know the future. What's the point, you know? It's like if you know, like a strategy game, if you know every move your opponent is going to make, it's no fun. Therefore, God can't tell you your future, or else it wouldn't be living. You'd just be going through the motions. And at the same time, apparently the Holy Spirit gives people certain gifts, and one of them is the gift of prophecy. So it's like I don't want to accept it almost, because I don't want to know my future, but at the same time, and although those gifts are meant to serve others, which is interesting. If this whole story is true, it could strengthen the faith of others, which is, so maybe that's why I had these visions, strengthen the faith of others. Yeah, I suppose I have the gift of prophecy slightly, at least to some extent. The next video I have to go. Okay, so let me turn on my computer just so I don't lose my train of thought totally. I kind of know what the next thing says. Yeah. So, right. So, yeah. Next video is the things that make me think, as of right now, that things that happened that tell me I'm not making up memories in the first place. And how the next vision I'm going to talk about, if true, is going to basically prove that none of these things are things I was making up in my head, because this next vision was, well, I believe it was the same day I had the vision of the crash, and I saw what I believe was the girl. And when I saw her, I had a vision of still water. If you think I'm the 15% of people that makes up full memories, then it would make a lot of sense for this to be a fully made up memory. But I'll get into that next video.